Patterson here with Boomerocity, and on this episode we have our first ever interview with the legendary guitarist Steve Morse. You know him from Deep Purple, the Dixie Dregs, and also Kansas. He was with Kansas for a while, and when he's not working with all those groups, he is also doing his own band called the Steve Morse Band. And, I forgot about this one, the super group, Flying Colors. So this guy doesn't sit still. I don't think there's any grass growing under his feet. So, but what we were talking about in this episode is about his new Steve Morse Band album called Triangulation. We talk a lot about that, how that comes about, the music business, and just life in general. Is a very fun, very measured, and very thought out, answered type of interview. Very sharp guy. He's also a pilot. You can't be a dummy and be a pilot. That is for sure. So I think you're really, really going to love this interview with Steve. While you're listening to it, as I always ask, hit the like button. It's not going to hurt you. And it sure helps us out a lot. And if you're not already a free subscriber, would you please hit the subscribe button and share this interview with any of your friends who you think might enjoy an interview of this nature and caliber, because it is a goodie. And I mean, you don't get much higher up the food chain than a Steve Morse. So without any further ado, here is my first of what I hope are many more interviews to come with the great Steve Morse. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson with Boomerocity. Take care.
Hello.
Hello, Steve.
Hey.
How you doing?
All right. I'm on the phone. They sent me a new link via phone. So I had.
Not a problem. I just, I don't normally use Google Meet, and so you're causing me to expand my horizons here. So,
and likewise, this has been interesting for me.
Yep. Well, where are you clicking in from?
I just arrived back in Florida. We did a tour with the Steve Morse Band, and I just unloaded the truck at 1:30 a.m. this morning.
Oh man!
And I drove Keith up to the rental place for the Penske truck, and luckily there was a key drop there, and we left the truck out in front.
Wow! So you still got to be dragging a bit, huh?
Yeah. I got sick during the last week of that tour. Something like, I don't know if it's COVID, 3.0 or what.
Yeah, something like that's going around. I know that. But you're over in the UK, right?
No, we just did Northeast and Southeast.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, I know you're tired. I just wanted to talk to you about this new album. So I've just got a few questions, and I'll do my best not to make it painful for you. I know you've probably answered the same kinds of questions a million times, but
I've talked to people my whole life. It doesn't make me tired of talking to them.
Okay, well, good deal. Well, thank you for joining, especially knowing how tired you must be, and also thank you for all the years of great music, man. You've got places on the soundtrack of not only my youth, but my so-called adulthood. So I want to thank you for that. It's you've made it bright for sure.
Thank you.
So, well, I want to talk to you about this new album. What's the story behind it? Was it written and recorded in bursts, or did it evolve over time? What's the story on
it? Well, I'd gone through several huge upheavals. First of all, everyone went through the same thing with COVID, where they were, whatever their favorite thing of doing was usually put on hold. And for musicians, touring was put on hold, and incomes were put on hold. And then on top of that, when it was just opening up, Purple was starting a new album, And I was at the first or second day of writing and found out my wife had a serious problem,
Mm.
and I really needed to be there because it turned into a multi-year battle with
Mm.
cancer,
Oh, I'm sorry.
which we eventually lost. And after and leaving Purple, and after all that, I felt like I needed something positive to concentrate on.
Yeah.
And the other guys in my band, all they work in other ways. They're not dependent on the Steve Morse band for they're paying their rent or anything,
Right.
but they wanted to do it as well. So
Hmm.
it just seemed very natural and organic place. When musicians do recordings, musicians of our stature, of almost any stature that I'm aware of, they're doing it as a volunteer project. A very big band may have a budget, but that budget just goes to pay for flights, hotels,
Yeah.
engineer, producer, advance, studio time, all that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
Nobody nobody gets anything out of it financially because the internet has made recordings nearly worthless
Yeah.
financially.
Yeah.
So it has to be. It's like if you go into a community that's vibrant, you might have a really good group of people that puts on plays or musicals at the local playhouse, that kind of thing. And they don't get paid. They
Yeah.
they do it because they love it. Same kind of thing.
Yeah. I think a lot of people in the seats, so to speak, don't realize what all you guys have to go through to make us happy. It's a tough way to make a living.
Yeah, and that's why not no, but very few young people are choosing it
Yeah.
when they realize if they were to cut lawns sitting on a riding lawnmower, that they would make 5 to 6 times more money than they would.
Yeah.
But there's always those people that defy the odds. Just like, when people buy lottery tickets, they're not thinking, well, my odds are is that this money is going straight into the coffers of whatever government runs the lottery.
Hmm. Hmm.
They think I could be the one, I could be the winner.
Yeah.
And musicians think that they could be the one that defies the odds, and I believe any musician that puts their heart and soul into their career over a lifetime will find a way to make a living and will, in that sense, and this is my definition, but that defines success. It's when you're able to do what you want, what you prefer to do, and have it be your job.
Yeah. I agree. I agree. Well, from a fan perspective, Steve, what I do when I post my interviews, and I always record the introduction after the interview, after I hang up and I file the interview file away for editing. I always say, buy the record. Don't stream it. Buy it. Order it. If you love get the hard copies if you can. Because that's what supports that's how we support the musicians we love. That and going to their shows, buying their merch. But buy it, don't stream it. And that's
That's
to
something
me,
I
that's the way to go.
on our tour. The people, it's like they knew that. There were people close to my age in the audience, and afterwards they went to the merch stand where we were signing this stuff, and they were buying this stuff, and they didn't need T-shirts. I know that,
Mhm.
and Um, Nobody needs a drum head that's signed, but yeah, it makes a difference.
Yeah, it does.
It
I
makes a
know that.
huge difference when you
Yep.
see that, and it's
Absolutely.
heartbreaking in a way to me that these people are literally bending over backwards after getting screwed on the ticket handling charges.
Yeah.
I'm totally screwed on the ticket handling charges, and the ticket prices are obscene to begin with. But when you add in the ticket handling charges, my God, how can anybody afford to go to a show?
Yeah.
So I was very touched seeing that, and wow, I I think it's important for people to do enough things to where you can have those moments where people surprise you in a good way and inspire
Yeah.
you in a good way. So the audience sure inspired me. They inspired me to, yeah, don't count numbers, count commitment, and passion. And
I
that's
agree.
that's what I'm trying to do.
I think COVID uh, changed things for us in the seats again, out in the crowd. Where when we just like you guys, I'm sure it's the same thing on the stage and behind the mic. We I think naturally we started taking things for granted until we couldn't go out. And for me as a fan, as an interviewer of you and your peers, of course, interviewing didn't stop. Everybody had time, so we were able to, we were able to talk. But just to be able to get out and go enjoy live music again, whether it's the Steve Morse band or a local cover band, everybody's still. I think it's still holding true at the end of 2025 here. People are still appreciating that they can get out and go listen to live music, and I'm hope that that's not forgotten soon because to me it's a privilege and a blessing to be able to do that.
Yeah, I agree. And one curious thing that's evolved, and is possibly due to the expenses of touring being so high, and the expenses of putting on a show, and having security personnel and parking and all the all the things, is that the it's hard to find bands that people have heard of that can afford to come to some of these venues. Most of them seem to be populating their calendars with tribute shows,
Yeah.
where it's the music of Fleetwood Mac or the music of Skinner or the music of Boston or Foreigner or whatever. And um, that's something I would have never predicted, but
Yeah.
I see it now. It's huge business. It's sort of like that
It is.
band Slipknot that had guys with masks on. You can keep changing the members and still,
You'd never know the difference.
yeah,
That's crazy. But yeah, you're right. And some fans would say the the band roster changes enough to where you might maybe have one original member of a band in that band, and they I know Skinner's been accused of that. There's no original members in there that go back to the first days, but as a fan, I go where again, I go where I think the closest originality is. I don't care if the Rolling Stones only have two original Stones members. I like the Rolling Stones, and again, musicians have a hard enough time making a living. They don't need somebody that doesn't have any talent criticizing the band roster makeup. And so, I think ultimately, as we die away, us baby boomers, and you and I are close to the same age, we're, when we're gone, let there be tribute bands, but in the meantime, support the real thing, in my opinion.
Mm.
But hey, I was curious, what's behind the title name, the Transfiguration or gosh, I just went blank.
Triangulation.
Triangulation. That's it. Yeah.
Well, I'm a pilot, so it's a nautical and aeronautical term for, and used in geometry. You solve for
Mm-hmm.
your position by observing the angles between two known points.
Mm-hmm.
And so to simplify it, you're solving using two known points. And so in the album cover, you see the figure at the top is half mired in this wall, trying to, to break, to cross from one barrier to the next. And he's looking at the other two with angles and trying to find out how one got free and the other one got further along, or it, got a good start on it. We're a trio, and we depend on each other, and
Cool.
look to each other for support when we can't. You know, we're close friends, and in that way, and depend on each other,
Mm-hmm.
on stage and off.
Very cool. Now, your fans know you for blending technical mastery with really deep emotion. Where on Triangulation do you feel that balance really shines on the album? Which song?
Oh, okay. Well, I'd say the extremes are with emotion. The last track, Taken by an Angel, absolute nothing but emotion there.
Mm-hmm.
Me taking elements of an idea that I already had and adding to it and adding to it, trying to make a musical description of the last 24 hours with my wife, starting with a lonely night, realizing this is it. This is the way it's ending, and there's nothing I can do. I've gotten everybody I can, snuck them into the intensive care. The nursing staff is mad at me. I've done everything I could with all the specialists, all the backups and everything, and it's happening. That's all emotion. And on the technical side of it, um, maybe having John Petrucci uh, as a guest, because no matter how hard I practice or how technically I can advance myself, if if I go see John play, I'm reminded that there's a step that I would never get to, and that's where John Petrucci lives. He is absolutely the best at what he does, and he agreed to do this solo spot. It would, you know, technically he could do that in his sleep, but it's wonderful to be inspired by that.
Yeah.
And writing wise, I think was another. I think writing the piece for Eric Johnson was, one of my proud moments too, because I had a different idea for him. And after he agreed to do it and was like, yeah, yeah, let's do it. We met in the 70s and it's been a long time. I said, you know what? It has been a long time. After I hung up, I said, you know what? I need to write another tune. I need to write a tune that captures how it felt to be playing melodic rock instrumentals in the 70s.
Yeah.
So writing wise, I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to shelve my original idea and revamp something that I think fit Eric better. And that became
Cool.
the track Texas.
the what you said about the emotional side of things on that last track. I didn't realize that about that song, and um, it resonates. Your explanation resonates with me because I just lost my dad Sunday morning, and so I
Oh
know
my God.
that feeling. My last parent, and you described that sense of loneliness. Sure you have loved ones, but when it's a parent, and in your case, your wife,
Yeah.
there's that epic loneliness that just hits you. It's like, wow, this huge phase of my life is done. And it just, the solemnness of it just weighs on you. So now I have a better appreciation of that song. So thank you for explaining that to me. It's very touching. Very, very
Well,
touching.
I miss them every single day, and I make a special moment to acknowledge them every single day and thank them. That's what our parents are supposed to do, is help shape us.
Yep.
And from talking to you already, I can see that they did a great job. But I know you will never stop missing your
Oh
dad
no.
or
No.
your mom.
Last 2 years of his life where he was had dementia or Alzheimer's. So I was like raising a 10-year-old kid. But boy, the special blessings of doing that and the memories I've gotten to be able to be honored and privileged to be able to do that. Nobody can take that away, man. It's awesome.
That that's
So,
one of the hardest things for a family member to do, and that's why you'll see so few families choosing to be the one that takes a senior citizen through dementia.
yeah.
It's it it proves you're an Iron Man. There's
Boy, I don't know about that, but thank you.
no, it's that's your, you need to, you know, be invited to be part of some SEAL Team 7 or whatever. You pull out that card. Hey, no formal training,
Yeah.
but I did this.
Yeah.
And they,
Try.
oh my God, okay. All right, you're in.
Yeah, well, it was a blessing though, Steve. It really was, and I
And
know that for
that's
you to be there with your wife, that had hard as it was, you felt like your heart was being ripped out of you. You wouldn't have been anywhere else but right at that space right at that moment.
exactly. And the band I was in for 28 years, is already on tour at that point. They're on tour,
Yeah,
the spotlights, the screaming crowds, all the things that people initially think they want out of life
yeah,
is happening. And life goes on. Nobody
yeah.
cares. You're the only one that realizes how important this moment is.
Yep,
You're
yep.
the only person with them. That's what that tune is about.
Well, I'm going to listen to it over and over with a different set of ears now, with your explanation. I'm glad you shared that with me. What what song on the album would you point to as I always call it the calling card? Chris Stamey of the DBs called it, oh, you mean the gateway drug to the rest of the stash. And I said, well, okay, that sounds good too. Which song on this album would you point to as being either the calling card or the gateway drug?
Well, there's two. First of all, the opening track, Breakthrough,
Yeah.
is it's kind of in the middle of the road. It's not too intense and it's not too sedate. It's it's just happy, good feeling Steve Morse band vibe. And the other one is Too Many Parts.
Hmm.
Decades ago, I'd written a very difficult technical piece called Too Many Notes. And I knew, I mean, I wrote it as a continuously difficult part. And I used it for a warm up for a challenge. And later on, I added to it and said, you know what, this could be a song. And I recorded it, and we played it for over 2 decades. And it got, as I got arthritis, it got to be too difficult to play the B section where it was crossing strings, and I had to bend my wrist and practice that way for hours a day in order to play it. So this one was a tune that stretched right at 11 minutes long with so many parts in it. I said, I like to do the work for the critics, rather than having them take the trouble to say that there's too many parts in the song. I'll just call it that.
I love it. Reminds me of that scene from Amadeus when the royalty comes up to Wolfgang and they say,
Yeah.
there are too many notes. And he
Yeah.
says, well, which ones would you like for me to remove?
Yeah.
Something to that effect. So
Yeah.
very cool. I agree with you. Those are two great tunes there. What's you just got off the road, so you probably last thing you want to think of is going back out on it, or maybe you want to go back into the studio or something. But what's on your radar for the rest of this year and going into next year?
Well, let's see. The Dregs are supposed to play 2 songs at a charity event in December. I never get to see those guys, so that'll be fun. I'm sure,
Nice.
Technically it'll be a mess because, the sound man has no idea who we are. It's going to be like 20 different bands, all
No.
playing borrowed equipment for 2 songs. But there's that. And then I've still got a special interview and video shoot with Larry DiMarzio, who designed the pickups on all my guitars.
All right.
And I'm looking to change direction a little bit because I just had some radiation treatments done on my hand and all kinds of injections and plasma and injections, stem cell, all kinds of different things. And I've come to the conclusion that I can't play like I was 40 years old anymore. I'm going to have to come up with a different technique that doesn't require as much repetitive motion to keep at the level that I can perform music.
Yeah.
I still want to perform music. I still want to write music. I'm still going to write music. But I'm looking to maybe kind of redefine myself, possibly like Eric Clapton did with this slow hand transformation, where he sort of went out with other guitar players. I saw him play with Albert Lee, my friend from he's also Ernie Ball endorser, and I played the band with him for many years called Biff Baby's All Stars.
Mm-hmm.
And Albert Lee was on tour with Eric Clapton as, kind of like the flashy soloist.
Mm-hmm.
And Eric would do the real melodic blues, the mature Eric Clapton soloing style.
Yeah. Yeah.
So maybe I'm going to evolve in that. I'm going to try some different techniques, some different left hand and right hand stuff, and see if I can find something that is a little bit more sustainable. So anyway, that's a big challenge when you talk about, losing your wife, you losing your band from 28 years, and starting over with a new technique. I've changed my picking position about 10 years ago to include 3 different ways of holding the pick, so I could change the angle and the pain level in my hand. And now I've reached the point where I've pretty much worn it out. Got to.
Yeah.
So it's just another challenge that
I see.
I will do.
Yeah. You
I
know,
believe
talking
if you,
about that, I remember seeing one of my favorite Christian artists is Phil Keaggy, and I know he's doing some work now with Neil Morse and all that, but he does a lot of loops and layering of loops, and I've seen him do that on a just by himself with an acoustic guitar, and I mean, I don't play, I'm not a musician, but just I've been following him for almost 50 years now, but just watching that guy do that, and I'm sure it saves wear and tear on his on his fingers and such, and he doesn't tour as much anymore. But maybe that's another solution, another idea to augment what you do and to extend playing time and such as looping and layering there.
I used to do that. She used to do a solo show back in the 80s with using loops, because I had a lexicon digital delay that would give me a clock output, and that clock output allowed me to stay in perfect time with the loop, so I could layer stuff very reliably, and I could have the loop disintegrate gradually while I added new parts to it. The new loopers
Nice.
don't allow you to do that.
Oh,
So
really?
that's kind of why I haven't really kept up with it.
Yeah. I I I understand it conceptually. I can't imagine trying to actually do it, but like I said, I've seen Phil in concert several times, and it just always blew my mind how what all he would do with it. One time he was doing "Here Comes the Sun," the Harrison song, and
Yeah.
it was just him and an acoustic guitar, and he would flip that guitar up and sing into the opening in the guitar and harmonize with himself even as he was layering guitar parts and all. I mean, it was a mind blower. There's all sorts of video of him doing that on YouTube, but I'm sitting there looking at it and saying, I'd just like to be able to play one line of that, not let alone stacking it all and looping it and all that. It's an art. It definitely is an art, as you
Yeah.
well know. So,
Yeah.
but well, you can experience tragic loss and the emotions of all that. And this will be the final question. Um, and it's not intended to be morbid or macabre or anything, but as you've experienced that and you look back over your career and still creating, still performing, I use the analogy of when you step off the great tour bus of life up at the great gig in the sky, to borrow from Pink Floyd. How do you want to be remembered, and what do you hope your legacy is?
Oh, wow. That I could be a good example to people that needed to look to somebody,
Mm-hmm.
and especially as a father.
Yeah, good deal. Good deal. Well, Steve, this has been a thrill for me. Thank you for taking the time, especially knowing how tired you are from getting in so late last night. I hope you get a lot of
Oh no,
rest and
I was already here. The truck got here late. I was already here.
okay.
I just
Good
had to
deal.
unload it
Good deal.
and put everything away and to take them and clean it. Just chores. Whenever
Yeah.
you house the band equipment, you become uh, that guy that unloads the truck.
that glorious that ritzy and spotlight and glittery part of the work, right?
And guess what? I think it's really good. I would rather be that guy than be a rock star. Seriously, I'm not joking. I would rather be unloading the truck into a storage container than to be a rock star, because rock stars have no clue.
Wow. Yeah. Well, there you go. Load out, load in, right? Well, Steve, thanks a million. I hope I get to interview you again down the road, especially when you got a new album coming out or whatever. My door is always open to you. And when you get around near Knoxville, Tennessee or thereabouts, hopefully I can catch your show and we can bump elbows backstage or something, okay?
Awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve. Stay well.
This has been another fun-filled episode of Boomerocity with your host and producer, Randy Patterson. The theme song is Roll the Dice and is recorded and used by permission from Quinton Hope. Quinton is spelled Quinten and Hope is Hope. And you can find out more about Quinton at quintonhope.com. Post-production is done by Cardinal Sins Productions. The Boomerocity name, logo, and content is copyright protected. Segments may only be used with written permission by Boomerocity and or its assignees. Inquiries should be directed to input@boomerocity.com. Copyright 2025.